New York, London, Paris, Munich. Nope, we're not talking about pop music. We're discussing something much more intriguing. What is the most important city in the world? Ever since Adam Smith wrote Wealth of Nations, we've understood that sovereign states are where it's at, both economically and politically. Or have we? The 21st century has seen the world's most economically active cities overtake countries so fast that nations are eating their dust. New York alone has an economy bigger than Canada. Osaka ranks higher than Switzerland. Paris could comfortably buy out South Africa and still have some spare change. After falling out of fashion, will city-states once again be our future? Maybe. We don't really know, we'd be too busy rolling in our Kentucky Derby winnings to write this if we could see the future. But we think it's important enough that we're gonna guide you through the 10 most important cities on planet Earth right now. Some are economic giants. Others are centers of political influence that can change the direction of world events. And some are rising players that will soon be striding across the global stage. Want to be where it's truly at in the 21st century? Move to one of these babies, now. Now, it wasn't supposed to be this way. At the end of the Cold War, capitalism had triumphed. America had won, and Russia had lost. As the 20th century reached its conclusion, the world witnessed a Moscow that was losing influence and becoming a power of the past. It looked like the era of Russian dominance was finally over. Oh, boy. Were we ever wrong? Fast forward to 2017, and Moscow is not only one of the biggest nations economically, it's a political titan. That last part is key. While metropolitan Moscow currently has an economy bigger than the entire United Arab Emirates, which, let's not forget, includes Dubai, it's Moscow's return geopolitical clout that really earns it a place on this list. As the base of Russia's politicians and home of the Kremlin, Moscow has benefited directly from Vladimir Putin's regional power grabs. Love him or loathe him, the bare-chested autocrat has certainly made his country important. Russia currently dominates the war in Syria, is running amok right along the EU's borders, and may have directly influenced the 2016 US election. It's not nice. It's not pretty. But it's certainly influential. The metropolitan population of Lagos is the largest on the entire African continent. Around 21 million souls call this dense, crowded, creaking megacity home. It's a place of slums and dizzying high-rises. Of innovation and mind-numbing congestion. Of great gallery spaces and hideous street crime. It's also the future. Already the economic powerhouse of Africa's great cities, Lagos is projected to maintain its pole position far into the next half-century. In other words, Lagos is where all the companies and industries looking to do business in Africa will be headquartering over the next few decades, joining an exodus that is already putting the sprawling megalopolis on the map. Add to that massive investment from the next global superpower, China, and you have a recipe for a city of vital importance. So, given all that, what's Lagos doing all the way up here at number 9? Well, there are a couple of reasons. One is that Nigeria's economy is actually faltering at the moment, lessening the city's global impact. The other is that, even if it picks up again, Lagos's political importance still lags far behind most other cities on this list. Nigeria may be a big regional player, but it is relatively small on the world stage. And with the nation's political power concentrated in Abuja anyway, Lagos's significance is hugely muted. Saudi Arabia is the most important country in the Middle East. In former times, that would have been met with a shrug from Europhiles and Americans. But recent events have shown us that the Middle East isn't just another backwater. It's a region with the power to destabilize the entire world, to effect political change as far away as the USA or Australia. At the crux of all this sits the Saudi capital Riyadh. Home to nearly 7 million people, Riyadh is the center of power in the most powerful country in the Gulf. Saudi Arabia has influenced actions in Syria, Iran, and Yemen, All countries with the power to spark a gigantic war if they go south. It counts the USA, UK, Germany, and Japan among its stalwart allies, all important countries in their own right. No other country in the region has this much influence, not even Israel. On top of that, the Saudi kingdom contains two of Islam's holiest sites, making it a focal point for the world's second largest religion. Add to that incredible oil money and you can see why Riyadh makes an appearance on our list. The trajectory of Saudi Arabia may be upward or downward in the future. But, for now, its corridors of power in Riyadh are at the heart of events that are shaping the entire globe. China and Japan may be the big beasts of East Asia, but they're both highly industrialized nations with vast populations, especially in China's case. Yet tiny Singapore is still able to compete with both of them. With a population of only 5.5 million and little heavy industry to speak of, this city-state has managed to become a vital hub of Asian trade. With a roaring financial sector and a high quality of life, mighty Singapore is the city nearly all other Asian cities want to be. What's remarkable about all this is how differently it could have turned out. When Malaysia was formed in 1963, Singapore was merely one of 14 states making up the new country. When it was forcibly expelled in 1965, it didn't seem to be in a position to survive. One of only 3 city-states in existence, the others being Vatican City and tiny San Marino, it would surely be crushed. How times change. Today, Singapore's GDP per capita is 5 times higher than Malaysia's. It's more stable than Kuala Lumpur, more important. In its corner of Asia, Singapore is truly where it's at. That's not to say everything is rosy. Singapore's government is more authoritarian than it is democratic, and visitors often find it an expensive, soulless place. Still, when it comes to ranking important cities, there's no way we could possibly leave it out. It's not the center of political power in America. It's not the city with the biggest economy, that DBNYC, which you're gonna hear more about shortly. It's not even the capital of California, for goodness sakes. Yet Greater Los Angeles has something no other city on Earth has. Something that most countries would kill for, let alone cities. Yep, you guessed it. That something is Hollywood. Hollywood's economy alone is a pretty impressive beast. It generates over $500 billion for the US every single year. But there are other cities and industries that generate more, including the apps and startup companies developed in Silicon Valley and other parts of California. So what's the big deal with Hollywood? Well, that's all thanks to something known as soft power. Soft power is the use of stuff like movies, art, and culture to generate a favorable impression of some place or some government. It sounds nebulous, but it really works. People across the entire world know a heck ton about America, thanks purely to Hollywood. They respect American actors, they aspire to American lifestyles, they buy American brands, all thanks to the movies. Politically, and in terms of trade, this makes LA invaluable to America. And not just America. Right now, China is investing heavily in Hollywood, purely to buy some of that soft power it couldn't hope to create on its own. Do you reckon Beijing would be dumb enough to invest in something unimportant? Nope, us neither.